All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me. It's a bit late. My voice is a little bit sore already, but I think I can get through this with you. So some cautionary statements as usual. There are some forward-looking statements in here. Please read and be advised. And there we go. So why 1911 Gold? 1911 Gold owns the Rice Lake property located in southeastern Manitoba. It's an area of historic gold discovery there. There's the True North underground mine, which has produced over 2 million ounces in the past, still has 1 million ounces of resource there today. That mine is still shut down, but could be turned on in the future. There's a lot of interesting opportunities here, though, that we are currently focused on in terms of exploration. This is an area that has never really before been owned by one operator like it is today, and you'll see in a slide coming up how consolidated this land package now is. You have a great management team, and another unique thing about us, I heard the last guy mentioning tailings. We are actually reprocessing tailings at site as well, and we've been doing that for several years. We produce around 3,500 to 5,000 ounces. It's seasonal in nature, so depending on how long we run, typically dictates how many ounces we can produce. But what that's really allowed us to do is minimize shareholder dilution to date. Most of the financings we've been doing have only been flow-through financings, which in Canada you can do at a nice premium to market. So a nice way to maintain your capital structure while you're in an intensive exploration program. A little bit of overview of our strategy. Gold exploration, really our primary focus. We have infrastructure in place. This used to be a full operating and mining facility. So we have, as I mentioned, an existing underground mine, but more importantly, a 1,300 ton per day mill, camp, kitchen, all the facilities you need to ramp up back into production quickly. Cap structure, just at the end of last quarter, we had just over $6.5 million in cash. We're well funded for the current year's exploration program. Tight capital structure overall, a number of key cornerstone investors down in the bottom right. We brought in a new corporate investor at the end of last year. They took about a 9% position in the company. But even in that retail number, we have a number of guys that own 5-6% of the company. So we have a nice kind of foundation for future financing requirements, but also to try and help maintain the share price as we move forward. Quick look at our management team, broad-based skill set here, a number of explorers as well as operators and developers, guys that have had some success in terms of finding new resources and also developing and building new underground mines. A good skill set, great team to work with, over 100 years probably combined experience, so we're all getting older, of course. So this is kind of the first kind of key slide in my mind when you're looking at Rice Lake and what really sets us apart from a number of other mining companies. We are basically in a great gold belt. You can see we lie right on that Wannapigal fault line, which defines the lower margin of that ancient plate margin, extends across the border over into Red Lake. We're about 100 kilometers west of that area. As you can see, it's got a number of large players in that jurisdiction, over 40 million ounces produced, probably over 80 million ounces of resource. One thing I'd really take away from here is that our property really has seen a fraction of the exploration as what's happened over there. So we think we're kind of in an area that's very overlooked, underdeveloped, and probably part of that really is kind of summarized on this next slide. Fractional ownership. I think we're all familiar with this. A lot of small players holding small parts of land, never really being able to have the large budgets to do regional scale exploration programs until now. We've now locked up a lot of this land. Some of that we've staked ourselves in the northwestern area and the northeastern area. Those blue parts, those are staked by us. We've acquired other parts to connect the land. Great in terms of assessment credits in Canada. You have certain monetary requirements. We've now basically combined all of this so we can spread our efforts around, secure our land title, secure our land position, and be flexible in our exploration program. But more importantly, we're never concerned about kind of running out of our property. We've got over 75 kilometers along that fault line to work with, over 90 kilometers in total from one tip to the other. So a very large land package, over 58,000 hectares in total, with lots of prospectivity throughout, which you see on this next slide. So lots of gold dots. It's kind of what you like to see. All these are surface samples taken by 1911 Gold. We have done some drilling, that's not on here, but what you see is a lot of gold spread throughout the property. And what I really like is how there's a lot of clustering of gold in certain areas. So particularly in that true north, you see a lot of gold in there. Clearly an area that's, should have a 2 million, 3 million ounce deposit. And in fact, it did. We've got the same types of concentration of gold samples down in that southeastern section of the property, the northeastern section of the property, and again, all the way over in Currie's Landing on the northwestern part. That's an area that's never really seen any exploration. So stepping through a few of our projects, some of the things we're excited about, I won't get into them. We've only got like a few minutes here, but this is down in that southeastern part of our property where you saw a lot of that gold clustering on surface. Lots of excellent structure in there. You can see those big dikes coming down there from the Wampanoag fault line, brings the gold into those areas. They go through those structures, and we're just basically chasing those up, following where we're finding those gold deposits on surface, putting the drills down wherever we find the structure kind of mirrors what we see over in, say, the True North mine or other analogs within this gold belt. And so far having pretty reasonably good success for what you'd call early stage exploration in these areas. We're getting lots of gold hits in our drilling. We're just slowly kind of moving into those areas where we're going to find the larger discoveries. Next project, this is brand new for us. It's never been looked at for gold. There was a bit of drilling in that lower part there for gold, but up where we are, it's all been base metal drilling in the past. What you see there is a really excellent, nice looking fold structure coming through there. This is a real kind of Red Lake style analog in our mind. It's on that northern crust of that ancient plate margin. Great place to look for large material gold deposits. And we've had a number of high grade hits up there, 50 grams to 250 gram per ton on surface. So we got 4 project areas there that we've drilled in this last few months, waiting on assays, but we like the core that we saw coming out of there. We're kind of excited to see what comes out of those results. And this last one that I mentioned earlier, Currie's Landing, never really been looked at, never given a fair shake. 40 feet of overburden there, difficult to see through. Today's technology, of course, helps a lot of us in this industry. We've flown high definition aeromag over there. We identified that nice looking fold structure under there. Just completed induced polarization survey work on there about a month and a half ago. We've got those results. We're trying to incorporate those into the mag, trying to put something together, get those results out and show everybody where to next on that property, but we do see some drill targets probably coming out of there. So next steps for us, I kind of touched on this, but we're really going to be taking the data that we've accumulated over this last drill program and the work that we've done to date, combine it with the large database that we've already got on hand, drive our next drill program on site, figure out the areas we focus on. We're probably going to be doing some drilling earlier this year. There's a couple areas close to the road that we can get through and start working those areas a little sooner. As most investors know, we typically get out there in the winter, but we do think we'll be able to start a little earlier this time around. Our field season started off about 2 weeks ago, and our tailings reprocessing program is just getting started off now. So we'll start to generate some cash flow from there and start building up our treasury as well. Quick snapshot of our tailings, up and down like crazy because it's seasonally driven. Sometimes we get started early, sometimes we stop early. It's a little bit all over the map. It's a very low cost operation for us though, and we can usually produce between $8 million to $11 million of revenue from that, generating anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 a month during the periods it's operating. So really covers a lot of our holding costs. And this is kind of the third and final kind of factor that I think really sets us apart. As I mentioned before, this used to be an existing underground mining operation. All the assets are still there in place, over $200 million in replacement value. Of course, that number could change, but 1,300 ton per day facility operating, reprocessing tailings right now or soon. And basically we're just working it up. We've got that existing underground resource still there, could be potentially turned back on. Our idea here really is to find one or more sources of ore on the property to combine with the True North underground, look at bringing that back up at that time with obviously a much lower cost of capital based on that recent discovery that we might get. Big part of the local community as well as the province. This asset's been around for a very long time. The community's grown up around it. We're a big employer in the region, both within the local communities, Winnipeg, local First Nations. We provide a lot of employment opportunities. We invest a lot in that community, and we try to participate as much as possible in whatever's going on in Manitoba. It's a very overlooked province in Canada generally for gold especially. It's typically seen as a base metal producer, but we think there are significant gold opportunities there, and we're trying to get out there and spread that message. And just a quick summary of our strategic differences. We think, there are a lot of great gold assets out there. We think we've got a great land package. We're in a great jurisdiction. And we have all this infrastructure in place. So we're well set up for future discovery and quickly leveraging off of that back into production. All right, that's my story.